What's up, guys? It's State of Soccer, and welcome back to a brand new episode. On today's episode, guys, we're going to be ranking the top UK stadiums, the top stadiums that I've been to on my trips to the United Kingdom. Let's get started. We're doing tier lists today, and I'm going to start off with Arsenal Football Club, stadium known as Emirates Stadium. I'll be honest, guys, when I first got to Emirates, I really wasn't that impressed with it. You walk up, it's this massive stadium. It's on a pavilion. It's on a big, group of stairs. But outside the stadium are some statues of Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, incredible players, don't get me wrong. But outside of that, it just kind of seemed like it didn't really belong. It's kind of hollow. It doesn't have the history Highbury once had, but it's Emirates. It's new. It's relatively new. And outside of that, the stadium's massive. The pitch is huge. It has that really cool clock tower. The locker room was nice. Mikel Arteta's office was pretty cool to walk through. In addition to that, the clubs were nice, but it just kind of seemed gimmicky to me. And for that reason, I'm going to start off a little bit controversial. We're going to give Arsenal's Emirates Stadium a C on this first stadium of today's tier list. And guys, we're starting off in London because that is where I started on this trip, this great UK football adventure where I went to 10 stadiums in 10 days on my most recent trip. And the trip before that, we did QPR, Fulham Football Club's Craven Cottage. You can see all of these episodes separately as stadium tours on my channel. But with the next stadium, let's get to West Ham United's London Stadium. Now, this stadium I did not like whatsoever. I'm going to tell you right now, we're putting it in the D list. The reason it's a D is because it's gimmicky. And I've used that word twice now. But what I mean is that it was built for the London Olympics in 2012. And it's just obvious. That's why it's there. You look outside in the general concourse, it doesn't have a soul. There's tennis courts around there. There's tracks around there. I'm being really harsh right now. And I realize that. And West Ham Football Club is doing the best they can, but they left Bowling Ground. They went here to, and I always forget its name, London Stadium, right? It just does, it has even a plastic name. It doesn't have a real English football club name. London Stadium, trying to be something that it isn't, and that's why I don't like it. I mean, it just hosts tons of concerts and different events outside of football. It doesn't even feel like it's really West Ham Stadium. In fact, walking around it outside the locker room, there wasn't even that much insignia representing West Ham. And for that reason, I feel a little bit bad for the West Ham faithful. I feel like they deserve better. I didn't think the stadium tour was all that great. It wasn't that special. And, this kicked off round 2 of my UK adventure in the first stadium tour of London back in August, and I was not impressed by this. So I'm giving it a D here on the tier list. I know that's harsh. Comment below if you think I'm being too harsh, but that's where I'm going to go with this one. I want to be authentic as possible, and that's why for this next one, I'm going to go and chant, this is superb. This is Fulham Football Club's Craven Cottage. We are going to the other end of the earth here on the tier list bracket. It's a superb stadium. And the reason I'm giving this such a high rating is because it's the opposite of London Stadium. It's old. It's Archibald Leach classic. The beautiful outside, the exterior shows off kind of that Georgian architecture, quasi-red brick feel, some beautiful statues on the outside. And you walk into it, and it's like a fairy tale, really. I mean, the way they've been able to keep up the turnstiles, they keep everything freshly painted. I saw a match there, Fulham versus Liverpool, and the atmosphere wasn't the best in the English Premier League. It's not the best in English football, but still passionate supporters, and it's an incredible place to see a match. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed walking the ground. The tour was fantastic. They built a brand new stand while they've been able to, at the same time, keep all other 3 stands original to how it was built back in the 1800s. I have so much respect for Craven Cottage here, which is why it's on the S tier, the top echelon of today's State of Soccer UK football stadium rankings. Now we're going to go to the W12 district of London. We're going to check out QPR Stadium. And I'm going to hold off on this one. I'm going to build some anticipation here for this ranking. I'm not just going to throw it up before I dispel my thoughts on QPR Stadium, because I think you'll be a little bit surprised by this. QPR Stadium tour was fantastic. It was a private tour for me. It's right here if you want to see it. I really enjoyed it. Overall, the ground, it's a classic old English football ground. There's no thrills. It's really not that fancy. In fact, the away locker room, the away dressing room only had 1 stall, I believe. That was incredible to me. And the actual home dressing room, it was pretty small too. Nothing that fancy about it, but that's the whole stadium. It's a little bit outdated. The pitch isn't in the most pristine condition. But overall, I know it was so nice of QPR to give me a tour there. That won't go into the ranking. It shouldn't. But at the same time, I love how it's enclosed amongst the 4 stands, and they all are in the center of the W12 district. You literally walk up and you're at this stadium. You see the floodlights, old floodlights, the original floodlights here at Loftus Road. And for that, I love the way it is. I just, there's something about it. I really want to see a football match there. I'm going to give it a C. It's not a B. It's not a D. It's definitely better than West Ham. But that's where I'm going to leave QPR's Loftus Road. The next stadium we have is Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge is not that far from Fulham Football Club's Craven Cottage. In fact, both clubs argue who's London's original club. I'll leave that up to you to debate in the comments below. But as far as the stadium goes, it's another classic. It's a lot bigger than Craven Cottage. It's a lot more modernized. There's 4 major stands of Stamford Bridge that all have been modernized at different times. And it's a living artifact in itself. I mean, the pitch is pristine, taking a walk alongside of it. And obviously Chelsea Football Club has such an incredible history, and that is well on display with their trophies and museum at Stamford Bridge. This is a great stadium. I thought the dressing room was one of the best I saw. Tons and tons of space. The workout facilities were phenomenal. They might have been the best that I saw. The walkout on the pitch was great too. I really like this stadium overall. For me, it's a B. It's not an A-level stadium. It's a little dated in some parts, but the history is contained there, and it's a great place. Stamford Bridge is a top-notch classic stadium in London. Now we take the train north to Manchester, which is exactly what I did from London, and we're going to kick it off with the theater of dreams here, Manchester United's Old Trafford. And one thing I want to say is, before I give this a rating, comment below, because I know this one's going to draw a lot of attention, but ultimately I did not like this stadium. I mean, I think overall Manchester United is a classic club. I think that it kind of gave me goosebumps when I walked out there and I saw the different, classic ends, Alex Ferguson stand and whatnot, in the corner view just being beautiful, immaculate. The pitch itself is incredible. The plush seats on the sideline, so much history going into it. But outside of that, the tour wasn't very good. Not that we're taking the tour into consideration, but it was just kind of dark in there. It was outdated. I mean, the dressing room was kind of cool, and it was cool at the time to see Ronaldo's, little alcove, his jersey there. But that being said, there was nothing much else to it. I thought it was outdated. I didn't think that there was really much of a spark there, at sex appeal to the stadium that you'd expect Old Trafford to have. I even saw a match there. I mean, it was a preseason friendly. At the same time, it was a great atmosphere, but I just didn't really feel it. Like, I thought it was cool looking out over the stadium and knowing this is the theater of dreams, but it was more of a, oh, so this is the theater of dreams. It wasn't what I felt at Anfield, which we'll get to a little bit later. For that reason, I'm going to give it a B. Because it's Old Trafford, I'm not going to give it a C. It's not going to stoop to the level of a Loftus Road or a Emirates Stadium, but for me, it really wasn't that spectacular. Now, moving across Manchester is a stadium that I did not like whatsoever. This is the Etihad. Outside of Pep Guardiola's, mind games and psychological warfare that he has there, with the away dressing room being super dark and the circular creation of his home dressing room so everyone feels included, I thought all that stuff was really cool on the tour. And I learned so much about Pep Guardiola's psyche behind the way he set up his locker room. But outside that, stadium was super gimmicky. I thought it was trying to be modern. It was trying to be something that it's not. It's massive. I was more impressed with the academy being across the bridge than I was actually with the Etihad Stadium. I thought the club box area was really cool. I like how the players walk in. Yeah, I love all that stuff. But overall, it's pretty plain. I mean, for being one of Europe's best teams, a team that fell into money, in the 21st century, I just don't necessarily think it is a great stadium. It doesn't really yell Manchester City. It's not what you expect Manchester City to play. In my opinion, I was really underwhelmed by it. I'm going to actually give it a C here. It's on the same level of Loftus Road. It's on the same level as Emirates. The Etihad is really nothing spectacular. I still would see a match there, of course, and see Manchester City play, but it's a C on this tier list. Now we're taking the train north to Glasgow, and we're going to start off with Celtic Park, home of Celtic Football Club, also known as Paradise. That's what that stadium is known as. And for me, it was Paradise because I thought it was spectacular. Starting on the exterior, you walk up, you see the 1967, Champions League, European Championship commemorated statue of one of Celtic's finest players holding and hoisting that trophy. You walk up, you see Brother Walford, I believe it was, who founded Celtic Football Club back in 1888. You see a couple other legendary footballers immortalized forever in statues. And then you walk in and there's this green Celtic kind of style carpet with this beautiful trophy case. And it has these rich mahogany trophy case and wood casing. I'm doing a terrible job explaining it, but you can see in this video, it's absolutely phenomenal. And given that I am a Celtic supporter when it comes to Scottish football, I, of course, love this stadium. But at the same time, even guys like Lionel Messi said it was one of the greatest spectacular atmospheres and places to play in all of Europe. When you walk out on the pitch, you see the white brick with all the different names of Celtic supporters. I think that's absolute class of Celtic Football Club. The actual locker room, dressing room itself was wooden. I mean, nothing too spectacular there. But overall, given the history, given that it's called Paradise, given that it is Celtic Football Club and it's in Glasgow and it remains one of the biggest clubs in the world, for me, I have to give this an A just because I think that it's the Scottish Football League. I don't have the highest expectations for these stadiums given how much money these clubs have, even though they are super clubs overall. I know that they're doing everything they possibly can do, and they're doing a great job because Celtic Park is a great place to visit, and I really would love to see a match there in the future. Now, when we're talking Scottish football, when we're talking the Scottish Football Premiership, you've got to talk about Ibrox. And next is you have Rangers Football Club Ibrox, which is another Archibald Leach classic. And for me, I'm not a Rangers supporter. In fact, I am a Celtic supporter overall, if I had to compare the two. But walking along the outside, it gave me this industrial feel, old warehouse feel, kind of this Georgian architecture, similar brick feel to Craven Cottage. And I thought that was really cool. I got lucky enough to actually get inside Ibrox without an appointment, without a scheduled tour. And I loved it. The marble floors, the busts of legendary coaches and chairmen, the locker room being wood paneled, the big blue carpet with the crest of Rangers there. Honestly, I fell in love with this stadium. I hate to admit it. I did. It's contagious. It's infectious. It is what it is. And you walk into the trophy room and you see all these old ancient football relics of the past of Scotland and Glasgow and the Glasgow Cup and, all the Scottish Premiership trophies and whatnot, whatever's in there. It's amazing. And it was the best trophy room I saw during my entire tour. You go out on the field, out on the pitch, and it's magnificent. I mean, it's a little bit outdated. I'll give it that. That's where some points get notched off, but I know that they're working on that. I'm going to give Ibrox on level here with Celtic Park. It's an A. It's phenomenal. It is what it is. That's where it is. Step below Craven Cottage, but an Archibald Leach classic. Next one we have is a B list for me. This is Hampden Park. This is home of Scottish football. This is where the Scottish national team play, and they've been playing there for quite some time. Now, in the 90s, they actually downsized the stadium, but to this day, it holds some European attendance records. This place at one time was massive, and the museum, the Scottish Football Museum in there is incredible, and I give that some brownie points for Hampden Park. Overall, it's this large cylinder stadium that hosts a lot of concerts. Like I said, it's where Scotland plays their national team matches domestically in Scotland. But I really wasn't that impressed with it. I mean, it's a B because of the history. It's where Zinedine Zidane scored that amazing Champions League goal for Real Madrid. That volley that everyone always pictures when you think of Zidane. And there's been other amazing matches to take place there in the Euros and Champions League over the years, including Scotland versus England matches and tons of attendance records, as I alluded to. But it's a B. That's what it is. Because it's a historic stadium, I have to give it a level of respect. But honestly, if it wasn't a historic stadium, it might even be a D. But because it's Hampden Park, home of Scottish football, it's a B on this list. Now, I barely made the train back to Liverpool. In fact, I missed my train, had to get a separate one, got into Liverpool at 1 a.m., got up the next day and did the Liverpool Football Club tour and absolutely loved it. I'd been to Liverpool before. Back in 2019, I saw Liverpool play Tottenham in their Champions League title year. And being back at Anfield brought so many memories. But I noticed in that 3-year span, Fenway Sports Group has done so much on the exterior and the interior of Anfield. I mean, obviously you have the Shankly gates. Obviously you have the You'll Never Walk Alone, the beautiful gates on the outside. You have the bust, the statue of Liverpool's chairman, coaches of the past. You have, Jurgen Klopp quotes up there. You have tons of historical mementos inside the stadium. The pitch itself is pristine. The Cop End is classic. It's an amazing stadium. And Fenway Sports Group, like I said, has done such a good job. And for that reason, and that reason only, because they've handled it so well, and because they're now expanding, they're even adding on to this. It's an S-tier stadium, in my opinion. It is incredible. It's up there with Fulham Football Club's Craven Cottage. Two very different types of stadiums, but the type of money that's going into it, the improvements, the modernizations, it's exactly what Manchester United should aspire to be. And it's Liverpool Football Club, who I think is the biggest club in all of England. That's just my personal opinion. Now moving on to Everton, the Everton neighborhood. I didn't actually get to go in to Goodison Park, but I know so much about it. I know it's a classic stadium. I know it's been around forever, similar to Anfield. It has such an amazing history. You think of that beautiful blue color. You think of the history there. It was a little bit dated walking around the stadium, but gosh, I mean, the sights and sounds outside of it. There's a church right next door. There's a hotel across the street. It's right in the middle of the Everton neighborhood, and I thought that was honestly so cool. And for all those reasons being said, I'm going to give it a B. It's still better than Emirates. It's better than Loftus Road. It's better than the Etihad, but it's right on par with Chelsea, Manchester United, Hampden Park. It's a B-list stadium for me. And guys, from S tier to D tier, those are my stadiums. I hope you enjoyed this episode of State of Soccer. If you did, make sure to hit like, subscribe. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. Let's do it. Let's get there. 100 likes on this video. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Happy holidays. Take care. I really appreciate all the support.